Good morning and welcome to our continuing series, Interviews with Disciples and Devotees. Today again we're honored to have Ananda Reddy. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you so much.
We have completed the period of construction of Sakar, and today Ananda will take up IIS, the parent company of Sakar.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, it is important that I tell you a bit of the genesis of Sakar, the inspiration, the genesis. See, long back in 1964, my father had an idea, not 64, and in fact a year before, I think 63, he wanted to leave the Usmania University job and come and settle in Pondicherry, at the ashram, in the ashram.
He was in America, must have been 1962 when I met him.
He did go there 62, many times later also. He has been almost 15 times to the US, for the talks. So he wanted to come away from the university and settle here.
Where was he teaching?
At the Usmania University in the Department of Philosophy. He was the head of the Department of Philosophy. And somehow his aspiration was to join the ashram and be here at the feet of the mother. And he even started working at the furniture department in the ashram for a while, waiting for the mother's permanent instructions, what he should do and where he should work. Then it so happened in 1964, mother did not accept him to be here. She said, your work is in Hyderabad. You go back there. So when this idea came, then father said, then what should I do? Then, being a philosopher, and he had always this in mind to start some kind of a center, a study center for Aurobindo. And so he wrote a letter to the mother. In fact, just the idea was that he wanted to start an institution, and he gave some options to the mother: Aurobindo International Institute of Cultural Studies, Aurobindo International Center of Culture, etc. But very interestingly, I'll show you the letter later. She did not accept any of the alternatives. She herself gave the full name, Institute of Human Study. So,
Institute
of Human Study. So, whereas father had written Aurobindo's name in all the three alternatives, she didn't keep the name of Aurobindo. She just said Institute of Human Study. And she said, you start this at Hyderabad. So she sent him back on the 13th of December 1964. And on the very same day or the next day, same day, she even gave him a set of slippers, what we say, charan, as a blessing to the institution, that her own slippers were given. So father was extremely happy that a name is given, and her own blessings were there in the form of the slippers, charan as we say in Sanskrit. And then a couple of days later, father asked him to ask the mother if possible to give a logo to the institution. Because on the first day he had gotten the name of the institute. Later he got the name of a journal called New Race, because he told the mother that we would like to start a journal in the name of the institute. What should be the name of the journal? He had given some alternative names. The mother chose the name New Race. So he had the institution, the journal, and then the third day, after a couple of days, he got the logo. logo for the Institute of Human Study, which was a mixture of mother symbol and Sri Aurobindo square in the middle with a lotus. So there he was. He came to Hyderabad. He went to Hyderabad.
Mother blessed the symbol.
Yeah, in fact, I'll show you the letter afterwards. You see, the symbol was there. She's selected this out of the 5 options. So she selected that. So there it was. Her selection was given. And so father was very happy. And when he came back to Hyderabad, what is to be done? What is the first activity? One of the first activities was to start a school. And he started a Sri Aurobindo International School next year in some small premises which he borrowed from the Osmania University. And we started classes from kindergarten onwards. Because the idea was that children, if they grow up in this atmosphere of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, and if they are open to this Mother and Sri Aurobindo's vision of education and philosophy and all that, that would be a better way to spread Sri Aurobindo's vision than to start with the adults. So with that in his mind, he started, and he asked the mother. He sent the name to the mother. Mother blessed it. She approved the name. Then I saw his diary also. Every year he used to send a report to the mother, and then saying, "Mother, we have had class 3. Next year we are going to have class 4." So he used to send regular reports to the mother, get her blessings and sanction. So this is how it grew on the school side. But a couple of years later, that was in 1966. Yeah, you can see just the next year. We had a course, a syllabus, because he wanted to start some syllabus in Sri Aurobindo's vision. And I still remember he requested professors from the university, somebody from literature, somebody from philosophy. So putting together all the university experts, and then he gave his own Sri Aurobindo's vision. So there were, I think, 24 students who had registered for the course. But the most important thing is, when the course was over, he invited all the 24 students to the mother, to Pondicherry Ashram. And the mother was gracious to accept, saying that I will see all of them. Oh. Not only see, she herself distributed a certificate to these 24 people. And in that certificate, you will see, I will show you the picture later. This was a certificate in which you can see the mother is the president of the Institute of Human Study. It is written here, the mother, Sri Aurobindo Ashram, permanent honorary president, and this is her signature. So that was the thing, that she is not the president of too many institutions in the country or the world. So Institute of Human Study has been very, very, privileged to have the mother as its president. Then we have under her the structure of chairman, vice chairman, general secretary, etc. But mother is the permanent president. So we all have the satisfaction that we are working under the mother, the president of the institute. So that was the great highlight of the institute's birth.
So when were you there?
1966, I was here at Pondi, I think. I was here. Yeah, because till 69 I was here.
Yeah, so you weren't teaching at the institute?
No, I was not teaching.
Okay.
Because it is only 69 I passed out of the higher course.
Mm-hmm.
So I was not there. And so this is how father started his work. And then you see, my father was a big dreamer. So he said, I will have some other projects under the institute, something to do with the rural education, somebody with the urban education, somebody to do with scientific education. He thought in those lines. But something happened there. Again in 69, as I see as per the letter, somewhere, I still remember, he had some contact with Sri Navjata. Navjat Bhai of society. And Navjat ji had taken a proposal to the mother that we would like to start this Aurobindo International University, and I found a man in Professor Madhusudan Reddy who is capable and is the right man. So mother agreed with the idea. So the first time at the university at Aurobindo was begun, the concept was begun in 1969, and mother had selected father to lead the university scheme. Because later on in 1970, I see a letter from him where he says, "Mother, I wanted to come and take up the work of the university, but because he had some property, he had a house which he wanted to sell off and then invest some money here." But the mother was, I don't know what was in her mind. She said, "You can come and take up the work only after you sell off your house. Then only you come." It was a divine strategy, I tell you, looking back. Because the house, it got delayed and delayed. It never got sold off. And one day, I think in 72 or something, I got so frustrated. I myself wrote a letter to the mother saying, "Why are you putting this hitch? The house must be sold off and then only he can come." As a young man, I was a bit impatient, I suppose. But this was the concept that the university, one letter she says, "University work has not yet begun." But then she says, "But the condition was that you should sell off your house." So that was the condition and a hindrance which got not fulfilled for long. But in the meantime, father's work at Hyderabad grew up. So the idea of the university dropped, and then he continued his work at the Institute of Human Study. And then afterwards, the problems began and all that. So the thing that I wanted to put on record is the idea of the Aurobindo International University. Afterwards, it took a different name. I know that.
But when you say the problems began, Navjata chose him.
Chose him. Navjata chose him. No, again, with the problems at Aurobindo began, and there must have been some dissension there or something. So it was kind of a put on freeze, the whole project. And then subsequently, as I hear, mother herself spoke to Roger André saying that we should have a University of Human Unity at Aurobindo. So the name changed, but the idea remained that there should be a university at Aurobindo, whatever the name and form it takes in the future. However, so that was the idea with which father began the institute. And then in 1977 or 78 now, we got the relics brought from Sri Aurobindo Ashram, and it was Champaklalji who came to install the relics at the institute. And here comes the connection with Champaklalji. As all of us know, after 1973, he stopped speaking once the mother left her physical. However, he was very close to father, and he was very close to so many others we know around the world. He started going around the world. He has come to the US also many a time. So he came to Hyderabad 3 or 4 times. First time it was to install the relics. And then once father took him to another project that he had started in the district in Andhra Pradesh called the Medak district, which is about 100 kilometers from Hyderabad. So there he wanted to start this university because mother had given him the project University of Tomorrow. When this Aurobindo thing didn't come up, in 1972, as you must have heard, there was a proposal for a university to begin at Pondicherry. And the name of the university was Aurobindo University. But there was a resistance from the local bodies, so the government of India changed the name to Pondicherry University. Not a Aurobindo University, but the name got changed to Pondicherry University. Whereas father was of avid dreams and aspirations that there should be a name in the name of Sri Aurobindo. So he wrote to the mother saying that we would like to start here near Hyderabad something in the name of Sri Aurobindo. So he gave the name Sri Aurobindo Desertion, the University of Tomorrow. And that was blessed by the mother. She said, yes, you can start that. So here, the incomplete dream which he wanted to do at Aurobindo, he took it up near Hyderabad. A place, 120 kilometers. And there Champaklalji was invited to receive the documents from the government. And it was so beautiful, the government was so happy with this idea, they even donated 125 acres for free donation. I mean, that's something incredible. So Champaklalji was invited to receive the documents from the collector of the place, who had the authority to give away the land. So there was this beautiful place. The place itself was called Darshan. And the idea was to start this University of Tomorrow there.
Could you share that photo of Champakla with us?
Yes, when I give you all the photographs, I'll show you
Good.
that photograph too. So that was the beginning of Darshan, another project which was supposed to take up the University of Tomorrow project. Then father thought that is for the level of the university. But what about for the urban children, rural children on the school level? We had a school at Hyderabad, that's true. But we wanted to go for a residential school nearby in Hyderabad, because where we had started the school at Hyderabad, we didn't have much land. It was very close to university and it was very difficult to get enough land. So we thought of another project, again another 100 kilometers, and there we bought a bit of land. Nobody gifted any land there, but we purchased the land. And so Champaklalji was brought from Darshan to this residential school area, which he himself called as the Matri Darshan. So that was Darshan of Aurobindo. This is the Darshan of the mother. So Matri Darshan and Darshan. So these are the two projects that were initiated by him. And Matri Darshan was in another place called Jangaon. And so father was very much, encouraged by Champaklalji, his blessings, his goodwill. But one thing I'd like to highlight here, when he came to Darshan area, we had gone there a bit day before, obviously, we had to drive a long way, so we needed to give him rest. So that morning, around 10:30 or so, it's a beautiful place of hillocks with completely granite stone, there are huge boulders of stone, and there's no forest, nothing, pure stone. So he was walking up the rocks and surveying the place. And at one place, he suddenly sat down on the rocks. Not only did he sit down, he lay down on his back. And Nara, just imagine in summer heat of Hyderabad, somebody lying down on the rocks. Only he could do that. I don't know if it was beyond weather, any hot and heat climate. He stretched himself on the stone and he closed his eyes, and people were visualizing. In fact, we took some photographs too. He was doing some mudras in the positions of hands. He was doing some, I don't know what he meant, but distinctly he was doing some mudras as if he was invoking or praying or something. And he lay down there for almost, if I'm not to exaggerate, between 10 to 15 minutes in that burning heat. So father was there, some others were there, but nobody dared disturb him because what's happening, we don't know. And he himself got up from this meditative mudras. When he came up and back to the room, my father asked him, Champaklalji, what happened? So he wrote down, of course he didn't speak. He said, when I was going by that place, suddenly I was pulled by a force that was there at that spot. And when I went into that meditation, I came to know that this was many years back, maybe centuries back, the very place where Sri Aurobindo himself had meditated. In one of his past births, he was a rishi or what he was. He says this had the vibrations of Sri Aurobindo installed centuries back. So when he went there, when he was crossing that place, he couldn't resist the vibration. He just had to, when I lie down, invoke his presence. So that was something was so touching. I said, my God, you don't know when Sri Aurobindo centuries back leaves a vibration in the earth. I mean, these rocks now, still a yogi can feel that. So imagine what's happening to Pondicherry Ashram here and the Samadhi here. I mean, how many thousands of years the vibration will be here. So that was a great eye-opener, and the way Champakalaji could receive that was incredible. Well, there are some other small stories here and there, but that's the most important was about Sri Aurobindo. Later in, I think 1982 or so, Father had a kind of a dream vision of starting a project called Mankind on the March, in which, I mean, for several nights he had this dream. In fact, he wrote down later this entire dream vision. It was a project where he said we should rewrite history, human history, in the light of the growth of consciousness, not a chronological historical events, but how the divine consciousness manifested in different ages, different periods, different places. But it's not a chronological thing. In the time of Greeks, for the Socrates, there was a Buddha somewhere, the Confucius somewhere across the continents, but the consciousness of the mental consciousness was the same. So that way he said, cut across time, cut across space, but see how the consciousness grew up and manifested itself. So he wrote a kind of a preface to the whole project. We have his things originally in his own handwriting. But the thing is, when he had the first vision, he wrote to the mother, giving a synopsis of what he wants to do, 12 books and all that, and seeking her blessing, saying, do you approve such a thing? And that day, as he has also written about it somewhere, he says he was at the Samadhi, and when he just did this pranam and came out, he saw Nolinida coming to him. And because he was going to the sports, I think, in the evening he used to go to the sports ground. So he had the sports shorts, which has a hip pocket, So from the hip pocket he brought out a little note saying, Madhusudan, mother has approved it. Take the note. And so father was so elated right near the Samadhi, and then he was later joined by Dimanbhai also. He said, yes, mother has approved your project. So that's one major project that is there. We are still struggling. Of course, he had written his preface, but it's been now how many years, 20, 40 years now, we are not able to bring out that project. It's a huge, massive thing. Not only it requires money, but people must have the vision of Sri Aurobindo's history, the way he saw the human growth. Well, I've inherited that project, but I'm also not able to do that. I've put it up at Sakar, but I think it demands much more. There a whole team of people have to take up the work, not myself alone. However, that is there, again, something blessed by mother, and both Dimanbhai and Nolinida were at it. So that was I think, the story, I would say, of Institute of Human Study. But there's one last word before I leave this chapter. When the relics became 25 years, when the installation of the relics, initially father had made the relics with a normal marble and then top marble and all that. But after 25 years, that marble got really spoiled, grey and dull and all that. So I was given the charge to renew the relics place. So at that time, I remember the instructions that the mother had given to one of the devotees in London, Manchester, I think. She built a center, relic center. She was in contact with Hutaben. Hutaben told her, saying that mother wanted always pink marble on the relics. So this lady got Manchester here, there, really the pink marble, and put it on the relic center. So I remembered that advice of the mother. So I followed the same at Hyderabad. I said this was mother's wish. So I also hunted for the same pink marble, and after 25 years when I renewed the whole relics place, so that is there. So that's something.
Where did you find the pink marble?
No, of course in Hyderabad we have many centers because the pink marble comes from Rajasthan. But we have to hunt for that. It's not a very common one. And the shade, all of them have to match with each other and all that. So I did establish a beautiful pink marble relics there. So then, of course, now the Hyderabad school is running what father has started with mother's blessings. It became a big school and all that. And now after 50 years of the school, we started now at Jangaon, which is called the Desertion, started with Champaklalji. So we have started a residential school there. We have built the first phase of school. We have got 120 students now. So that's working, that's progressing. So basically what I want to tell you is what was started by father, the work is continuing. The University of Tomorrow is again in limbo because it's not easy to have this University of Tomorrow. Because when I wanted to promote that, there was a resistance from Pondicherry University. They said, Dr. Reddy, you cannot use this university word in your project because university means you must get the approval from the UGC. So then that I dropped this word UGC, university, then I started this Aurobindo Center for Advanced Research, which has now come to be known as SAKAR. Because in the beginning of beginnings, I used to say always University of Tomorrow. All my letterheads carried that. So, but the Vice Chancellor once told me, don't proclaim like that, you may land up in trouble.
As a university.
As a university. So he said, you call yourself a research center, it's easier. People will accept, universities also will affiliate with you. So that's how the name had to be changed. Similar to what this Aurobindo, this ashram school name was also University Center. You know, when the ashram school began, the mother called it the University Center, which later became Aurobindo International Center of Education. We have the same objection. So I could understand that UGC rules have to be applied and we cannot take the name of university. So that is the whole link between an institute and the Sakar, that's the birthplace. So that I think gives you enough of
very good
information.
Very good overview.
Yeah, that is the genesis what I wanted to tell you.
So now can we take up Sakar's present work?
Yes, I think I'll tell you a bit of this present work. Yes, it is. It started with online courses.
Mm-hmm.
It started with an affiliation with the IGNOU, Indira Gandhi National Open University at Delhi, New Delhi. And there, on the online courses, we had bachelor's, master's, and PhD, and MPhil we call, and then PhD. The 4 levels were there. But they're all Aurobindo studies. PhD in Aurobindo study, master's in Aurobindo study, bachelor's in Aurobindo study. And the Vice Chancellor there at that time was very open-minded, and he said, don't, because that Vice Chancellor had come to Sakar once. So he saw our work, he was so pleased, he said, this is a beautiful Aurobindo Center for academics. I would like you to associate with IGNOU. IGNOU is the Indira Gandhi National Open University. And so now we could officially give out degrees which the students want. Because in my tour of so many places, students said, sir, we want to study Aurobindo studies, but what are we going to get out of it? Can we get some certificate or degree or diploma? So that gave me the idea, unless and until Sakar gets hooked with a university and issue degrees, is no use, we cannot attract students. So as soon as this idea came up and it was accepted by the university, I had lots of applications. So that showed me that on the national level there are youngsters interested in Aurobindo, but obviously they do want a degree in their hand because they want to go progress in their own academic career. So I was happy to do that, but we ran into some problems, not because of Sakar, but the university policies changed, a new vice chancellor came and all that. So unfortunately that was stopped. But my work has not stopped. We still continue with the online courses in Aurobindo. What all he has written on psychology, philosophy, yoga, literature, everything, the human cycle. So we still are continuing with the online.
But you can no longer give degrees.
We cannot officially give degrees. But it's only recently, a couple of months back, that we have affiliated with Oro University at Surat, which you know very well.
Of course.
So that with Oro University we can give PhD, when we can have students collaboration, and they said we could issue PhDs. However, that is the latest thing. But that is online courses we are continuing with. Then we have something called the intensive courses. Intensive courses are 1 month to 3 months. People stay with us because we have a lodging boarding facility. So they stay with us, they study intensely whatever subject they want, Savitri or the Gita or the Life Divine, whichever book. And there to help, we have some other faculty members to help, and we can guide them. And at the end of it, we just give a certificate, they go back. So these people are wanting to know Aurobindo in depth, no question of degrees. Now there is another parallel thing called the extensive studies, because some local people residing in Pondicherry, they said we don't want to live at Sakar because we have our home at Pondi, but we want to come and study. So we have that facility also. And then we have for psychology, we have internship. Because there are some students, university students, who want to have an internship for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, 3 months, and they come to study with us internship in psychology courses. So these three are there. Apart from that, we have regularly one or in 6 weeks one workshop on different topics on Aurobindo, psychology, health, and Savitri. But I'm avoiding this major books now, because in the name of books there are very few participants. But I'm taking up for the workshop themes. If I take up a theme, what is human destiny? So there are people to take a theme, a topic, and there are about 20 to 25 people they come here. Sometimes I took a course for 5 days on concentration and meditation in the light of Aurobindo and the mother. So there about 30-35 people came. So if I take up a topic, it's more relevant to the students instead of telling I'm having a course in Savitri or the Life Divine. I can take a topic from the Life Divine and take it, but not mention the name Life Divine, but themes. So we are doing workshops thematically. That's attracting people. And now we have, thanks to our collaboration with NAMA, the journal that's brought out by society. So NAMA is there. We have friends like Aurobindo Foundation for Indian Culture run by Sampadanand. So what I've started is collaborating with other Aurobindo institutions. That's what is important, because I said we have to increase our base. So that is how I've begun to collaborate. And we are getting better professors, participants. So that's one very active work. And then recently, I started collaboration with Aurobindo, because what happened was that for these seminars, a few Aurobillians used to come, stay here with us for 3 days, 4 days of the seminar. Some of them would come, attend the seminar, go back. So for them it is becoming a bit difficult because of the traffic and coming that far and going back. So I sensed that and I said, okay, let me come closer to you. So we started building a branch near Aurobindo. It's a private land.
Oh.
Just very close to Gaia Garden Guest House, which is Aurobindo purely. So on the same Bomayapalayam Road, opposite Gaia Guest House. So it's a small place.
Across the street or?
Not on the main road, but across the street we have a little colony called Mirambika Garden Complex. There are other houses, but I have bought a big plot for ourselves. And we have recently completed the building, and we call that Aurobindo retreat. So that's more in the sense of a retreat, whereas Pondicherry seminar is meant for workshops where more people gather and all that. Whereas that one I want to really concentrate on intense studies. People come to study Life Divine, Upanishads, Gita. I'm there one-to-one, Sampadanand is there or Larry is there. It's really in the old style of, really one-to-one, one-to-three. So that's the thing I want to encourage there. So we have just started work there. So now we have started working at Savitri Bhavan. People are coming to Aurobindo. So that's meant for a knowledge center, And there's one more big activity at Sakar at Pondicherry is, since last 4 or 5 years, there are some Marathi groups who are coming from Maharashtra. I mean, there are 5 or 6 camps like that. Every week, about 30 to 35 members, they shift, a new batch of 35 people come in. So that's a very big activity, because what happens is they bring their own speaker who speaks in Marathi about Sri Aurobindo's philosophy, Mother's philosophy and all that. But what I do is sometimes they speak on Marathi saints. They don't speak on Sri Aurobindo because they may not be knowing. But Marathi saints is spirituality. I said, fine, you can go ahead. But what we do is we have a team of people at Sakar. We have Shruti Vidvaikar, who is a Marathi, Maharashtrian herself. So she speaks to them in Marathi about Sri Aurobindo. And then I chip in something of Sri Aurobindo in English or Hindi. And recently Deepshika started telling them about Sri Aurobindo. So the Sakar team with Falguni and all of us, we contribute some talks on Sri Aurobindo to these Marathi groups. So my purpose is done. That's to spread Sri Aurobindo's vision to this Marathi group. So that's also a very big activity for us, very busy actually. And I think academically these are the things. And then we have recently started something at management. That was a big challenge I took up. I said, why should Sri Aurobindo be, addressing only philosophy, literature and poetry and all that? If all life is yoga, we should be able to apply Sri Aurobindo in management also. I mean, why should it be only all academics? So in the last couple of years, we entered into management field. We went to Pondicherry University, we gave seminars in management, because we have brought a new idea based on Sri Aurobindo's 4 aspects of the divine. The wisdom, the power, harmony and perfection. 4 aspects of the mother. I said, now look, can we not translate these 4 divine aspects into day-to-day living? That is what is spirituality and that is what is management. You see, when we say human relationships, what is that? Nothing but harmony. So I translated these 4 major ideas of these 4 aspects into management courses. Their finances, their human relations, their profit, their money making, etc. And so they loved this new approach, that how a spiritual idea can be brought into management.
Or a university is doing it.
University is doing. So Pondicherry University, we have had several seminars on that, calling the corporate company CEOs, and so this is something that now we have started as a new branch of Sakar. So we are getting into that also. I think yesterday I covered my work. Just going off the track, as I just remember the one last message. I was telling you about my work at Aurobindo. I was in charge for a long time at Aurobindo School until things happened at Aurobindo School and it got dismantled. But those times, what happened, there was a bit of a confusion if I should continue my work at Aurobindo School, at Aspiration School, or go somewhere else, because there were some internal changes that were coming up. Some new responsibilities were being given to new people. So I asked the mother, would you like me to continue to Aspiration School or take up some other work at Aurobindo? In fact, that was my last letter. That's why I want to mention that. So mother said, continue to do the work that you are doing now. So that was my last message from the mother. And so I was at Aurobindo continuing the work, but as you know, Aurobindo, things changed, and then I left Aurobindo to do my further education. But that has been there in my heart that I must continue to work on the level of teaching. And so as soon as I came back from Hyderabad, after some time, I started going to Savitri Bhavan to take classes in the evening. So there I felt good that I am continuing to do the work that the mother has given me in the education line, in the teaching line. So Savitri Bhavan, when it had no hut, no building, it started under the trees, if you remember, under the coconut trees. So my journey with Savitri Bhavan began then. Then I took Savitri's Life Divine and other works of the mother. So that's continuing even now. So it's all beautiful continuation. It's all inspiration. But I think next time I would like to tell you something about some of the stalwart devotees with whom I had a close contact.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.